put in code that if I get rid of and I get an error, like if I don't put in a social security number, I get the update failed user-friendly message instead of a big old ugly message. All right. Now, that still hasn't answered add mode, right? Because that add mode link is only going to appear if I'm in read-only mode. And we've gotten out of read-only mode. We've automatically put ourselves in the edit mode on that page. So I need a mechanism by which I can call that page and put the grid view, or I'm sorry, the details view into insert mode. All right? Now, we're going to accomplish that this way. Notice that if I click on Joe, I'm passing emp ID on the query string. All right? So I can pretty well make the assumption that if there's something on the query string, that's the guy I want to edit. So go into edit mode. If there's nothing on the query string, I probably want to add a new one, right? I can make that convention, all right? And I can use the fact that there's something on the query string or not something on the query string to identify whether I want to be in insert mode or edit mode. So I can go here on the page load event of this page, and I can say if this is where my C# is going to fail me. If request query string emp ID as bad as I was thinking it was going to be. I can test to see if the query string element of employee ID is greater than 0. Or conversely, I can test to see if it's equal to 0. If it's equal to 0, that means that we don't have an employee ID on the query string. If we don't have an employee ID on the query string, we must not want to edit that employee. We must want to insert the employee. So what I can do is I can say DetailsView1 dot default mode equals into insert mode. So all we need now is a link on our department search page to call detail and not give it anything on the query string. So I can go in here and put on a link.
Just curious, what about a bucket? Does it make a difference?
No, as long as it ultimately is a link. And employee, and the URL will be detail.aspx with no query string argument. Therefore, it'll know to go into insert mode. So, now we go and run this. If we go and edit someone, we're back to the way it was before. All right. However, if we click Add Employee, we bring up the detail mode with, there actually is no field called that, so. Let's try this instead. There we go into insert mode. Now, the one thing we would have to correct that we haven't done, but would correct this exact same way as we did with the item updated event, is that after we insert someone, it's going to stay in insert mode. And after we insert someone, we would instead want to go back into the list mode. So we'd want to redirect them. If everything went okay, we'd want to redirect them back to that. Now the other thing that we haven't changed here is the department ID. We should make a template column again because, again, it's a text box. Did we take care of that in edit mode? Well, yeah, but there's a separate template for add item. You know, before you start complaining, you could be coding all this from scratch, all right, on punch cards. So it could be a lot harder than it is, all right. Because, yeah, that annoys me too, but when you consider all the work that the framework does for you, it gives you the flexibility if for some reason you'd want to do things differently in insert mode versus edit mode. I don't know why you'd ever want to do that, but you have the capability to do it. And it's really not that big of a deal once you learn how to create a template column to go in and put the drop down in two places. Okay. So what is different between this and what we saw before? We're stretching the default behavior of this to work in a way that is smoother and in a way that makes more sense for the kind of things that we're doing here. All right. The default behavior was clunky in a lot of respects. I mean, it used text boxes all the time. It didn't use drop downs at all. In addition, just sort of the way that you would navigate to add someone was clunky. The way that you'd go in to edit someone was clunky. So by a combination of using template columns to change up the way that is displayed in the different modes of the details view, and by some custom coding based on these events about when things get updated or deleted or inserted, we can go and we can sort of hammer that default behavior into the kind of behavior that we want. All right? And in a way that makes sense. You know, I really don't ever want to hear the statement, you know, that's how Visual Studio did it. All right? Or that's how ASP.NET did it. And it'll be a temptation to say that at times. All right? That's the equivalent, though, of a carpenter looking at a cabinet and someone complaining that the drawers are too big or too small, and him saying, well, that's the way that the hammer made it, right? You know. You should be in control of the tool, and if the tool doesn't do things in the way that you want, you should be able to somehow take control over it, either by custom coding or template columns or whatever, to go and do that. All right. My suggestion would be to practice these things, to review this example and practice these things. So I don't necessarily think that just seeing them one time is going to be enough. And we did a few things today, so go through each one, try to review what we did and why we did it, because this sort of thing is important going forward as we develop stuff. All right. See you over in lab. Yeah.
That cancel button, can we update that to send us back to the previous page?
Yeah, we could.
Okay.
Exactly, because right now, cancel it would cancel an insert if we started, but probably if we cancel, we probably want to go back to the previous page.
I was just curious about that.
Yeah. That actually is a different event. There's not a uncanceled event. It's, I believe, on status change or something like that. I'd have to look that one up.